在今天节目当中，我们继续为大家邀请到旧金山州立大学 Asian American Studies 的张华耀张教授，我们继续欢迎他。Hi, Professor.
Hi.
As we know, the government has been putting effort into combating hate. 1 year ago, they launched about the California versus hate, the Hotline. Yeah. So for the people to report the Asian hate, something like that. Do you think it's a good start?
Yeah, I think it is a good start. All along, we felt that it's the government's responsibility to track racism, to make sure our communities are safe. So the fact that the government, our API legislators pushed the government to collect the stories, to collect the reports, just so that they know what's happening in our community and then take action. I think that's really significant.
They have received like 1,020 reports. Do you think this number is accurate or maybe more than these numbers?
I think it's clearly just a fraction of what's happening out in the community. And so maybe people don't know about the reporting hotline, maybe they're scared to report, but I think the amount of racism is much, much higher according to our surveys.
Much, much higher, yeah. So basically, according to the data they provide to us, anti-Black, anti-Latino, and anti-Asian were the most reported concerning race and ethnicities. So what do you think about this? What we can learn from this?
Yeah, what we can learn is that during COVID, a lot of attention was focused on anti-Asian hate, and that was important because people didn't think Asian Americans experienced racism. But now, getting these overall numbers, we recognize that it's not just Asians, but also African American, Latino people. A lot of groups experience racism in different forms and in different ways, so we need to all work together to stop the hate.
Yeah, how can we work together?
I think there's lots of ways. You know, people's primary solution is to educate each other about our communities. As we learn about each other, learn about our stories, learn about our histories, then people are more empathetic towards each other. And it starts when students are young, that they need to learn about different groups. That's why California is requiring ethnic studies now. And so I think education really is the key, that as people learn about different groups, learn to put themselves in the shoes of other people, then they are less likely to be racist or to be have stereotypes.
We interview a lot of experts. They always support education part, but since a long time ago we mentioned the education part. Well, how come it's not have no good result?
Oh, I think the education is preventative, and we don't know the rates of racism prior to starting to collect the data. So maybe the racism was always at a high level, and the education has been effective. I think when I talk to my college students, when I talk to high schoolers, they're a lot more conscious of the histories of other groups. They're a lot more wanting to work together with different groups and communities. They're probably less racist. So I think education is making an impact on our younger people.
I see. Let's talk about community. In the community, many Chinese people, especially like senior, when they made something happen, bad thing happened, they always try to keep silent. In this issue, do you have any message to deliver our audience?
Yeah, I understand why people are hesitant to speak out, that they're afraid that maybe someone would seek revenge on them, or they just don't want to deal with it because it's too painful to remember, so they just want to move forward. And actually, that's a reasonable reaction, that you just want to move forward, and I think that shows a lot of resilience. But what I think the self-help for elderly workers, what they said was really significant. They said if they didn't report, then it's going to happen to someone else. And so we need to think about, it happened to us, but we don't want it to happen to someone else, right? We know how painful it is to be on the receiving end of racism. We know what it's like to be hurt by hate. And so we shouldn't want another elder person to experience it. We shouldn't want another student to experience it. So reporting maybe not be just for you to get justice, but it's to protect the entire community. So I think it's important to report so that the racism will stop, and we're doing it to report in order to protect our broader community, to think of others beyond just thinking about ourselves. And I think that's what they talked about, and I really agree with their thinking.
Yeah. So do you have any story can share with us to remind the public of the importance of the reporting?
I think by reporting, people are aware that they shouldn't do it, that racism against Asians is wrong. And so that sends a strong message to the broader community that Asian Americans belong here, that they're a significant community, and they've been hurting. And so people are beginning to have more empathy towards us. One actual interesting side effect of reporting is that there's a lot of trauma when you experience a hate incident. Like the people at Self-Help for Elderly, they feel shocked, they feel fear, they get anxious, they feel depressed. And so we surveyed those who reported to Stop API Hate, and they had high levels of trauma. But when they reported, that actually really helped them in terms of their mental health. The level of anxiety decreased, the level of hypervigilance or watching your back declined. So one of the side benefits of reporting is that when you take your negative emotions and externalize it, when you express it, that actually helps you because you feel like you're taking action. You're translating your anger into something positive. You're taking your fear, and that's mobilizing you to protect yourself and your family. So by reporting, not only does it help get action taken, but by reporting, you're taking action as an individual, and you're helping translate those negative emotions into something positive. And I think that's really helpful for the mental health of our community. I think that's been really helpful for our young people.
Thank you. I believe our audience got a lot of information from you. Yeah. 所以呢，报告呢真的是非常重要。遇到事情的时候，真的要勇敢的站出来。那我们今天非常谢谢这个教授。